Why facts don't change our minds. The economist J.K. Galbraith once wrote, faced with a choice between changing one's mind and proving there is no need to do so, almost everyone gets busy with the proof. Leo Tolstoy was even bolder. The most difficult subjects can be explained to the most slow witted man if he has not formed any idea of them already. But the simplest thing cannot be made clear to the most intelligent man if he is firmly persuaded that he knows already, without a shadow of doubt, what is laid before him. What's going on here? Why don't facts change our minds? And why would someone continue to believe a false or inaccurate idea anyway? How do such behaviors serve us? The logic of false beliefs. Humans need a reasonably accurate view of the world in order to survive. If your model of reality is widely different from the actual world, then you struggle to take effective actions each day. However, truth and accuracy are not the only things that matter to the human mind. Humans also seem to have a deep desire to belong. In Atomic Habits, I wrote humans are herd animals. We want to fit in, to bond with others, and to earn the respect and approval of our peers. Such inclinations and essentials to our survival. For most of our evolutionary history, our ancestors lived in tribes. Becoming separated from tribes, or worse, being cast out, was a death sentence. Understanding the truth of a situation is important, but so is remaining part of a tribe. While these two desires often work well together, they occasionally come into conflict. In many circumstances, social connection is actually more helpful to your daily life than understanding the truth of a particular fact or idea. The Harvard physiologist Steven Pinker put in this way, people are embraced or condemned according to their beliefs. So, one function of the mind may be to hold the beliefs that bring the belief holder the greatest number of allies, protectors, or disciples, rather than beliefs that are most likely to be true. We don't always believe things because they are correct. Sometimes we believe things because they make us look good to the people we care about. I thought Kevin Simler put it well when he wrote, if a brain anticipates that it will be rewarded for adopting a particular belief, it's perfectly happy to do so and doesn't much care where the reward comes from, whether it's pragmatic, better outcomes resulting from better decisions, social, better treatment from one's peer, or some mix of the two. False beliefs can be useful in a social sense even if they are not useful in a factual sense. For lack of a better phrase, we might call this approach factually false but socially accurate. When we have to choose between the two, people often select friends and family over facts. This insight not only explains why we might hold our tongue at a dinner party or look the other way when our parents say something offensive, but also reveals a better way to change the minds of others. Facts don't change our minds, friendship does. Convincing someone to change their minds is really the process of convicting them to change their tribe. If they abandon their beliefs, they run the risk of losing social ties. You cannot expect someone to change their mind if you take away their community too. You have to give them somewhere to go. Nobody wants their worldview torn apart if loneliness is the outcome. The way to change people's mind is to become friends with them, to integrate them into your tribe, to bring them into your circle. Now they can change their beliefs without the risk of being abandoned socially. The British philosopher Elaine D. Borton suggests that we simply share meals with those who disagree with us. Sitting down at a table with a group of strangers has the incomparable and odd benefit of making it a little more difficult to hate them with impunity. Prejudice and ethnic strife feed off abstraction. However, the proximity required by a meal something about handing dishes around, unfurling napkins at the same moment, even asking a stranger to pass the salt, disturbs our ability to cling to the belief that the outsiders who wear unusual clothes and speak in distinctive accent deserve to be sent home or assaulted. For all the large scale political solutions which have been proposed to salve ethnic conflict, there are few more effective ways to promote tolerance between suspicious neighbors than to force them to eat supper together. Perhaps it is not difference but distance that breeds tribalism and hostility. As proximity to increases, so does understanding. I am reminded of Abraham Lincoln's quote, I don't like that man, I must get to know him better. Facts don't change our minds, friendship does. The spectrum of beliefs. Years ago, Ben mentioned an idea to me that I have not been able to shake. The people who are most likely to change our minds are the ones we agree with on 98% of topics. If someone you know, like, and trust believes a radical idea, you are more likely to give it merit, weight, or consideration. You already agree with them in most areas of life. Maybe you should change your mind on this one too. But if someone widely different than your progress, the same radical idea, well, it's easy to dismiss them as a crackpot. One way to visualize this distinction is by mapping beliefs on a spectrum. If you divide this spectrum into 10 units and you find yourself at position 7, then there is a little sense in trying to convince someone at position 1. The gap is too wide when you are at a position 7. Your time is better spent connecting with people who are at position 6 and 8, gradually pulling them in your direction. The most heated arguments often occur between people on opposite ends of the spectrum, but the most frequent learning occurs from people who are nearby. The closer you are to someone, the more likely it becomes that the one or two beliefs you don't share will bleed over into your own mind and shape your thinking. The further away an idea is from your current position, the more likely you are to reject it outright. When it comes to changing people's mind, it is very difficult to jump from one side to another. You cannot jump down the spectrum, you have to slide down it. Any idea that is sufficiently different from your current worldview will feel threatening. And the best place to ponder a threatening idea is a non threatening environment. As a result, books are often a better vehicle for transforming beliefs than conversations or debates. In conversation, people have to carefully consider their status and appearance. They want to save face and avoid looking stupid. When confronted with an uncomfortable set of facts, the tendency is often to double down on their current position rather than publicly admit to being wrong. Books resolve this tension. With a book, the conversation takes place inside someone's head and without the risk of being judged by others. It's easier to be open minded when you are not feeling defensive. Arguments are like a full frontal attacks on a person's identity. Reading a book is like slipping the seed of an idea into a person's brain and letting it grow on their own terms. There is enough wrestling going on in someone's head when they are overcoming a pre-existing belief. Why don't need to wrestle They do not need to wrestle with you too. Why false ideas persist? There is another reason bad ideas continue to live on, which is that people continue to talk about them. Silence is death for any idea. An idea that is never spoken or written down dies with the person who conceived it. Ideas can only be remembered when they are repeated, they can only be believed when they are repeated. I have already pointed out that people repeat ideas to signal they are part of the same social group, but here is a crucial point most people miss. People also repeat bad ideas when they complain about them. Before you can criticize an idea, you have to reference that idea. You end up repeating the ideas you are hoping people will forget. But of course, people cannot forget them because you keep talking about them. The more you repeat a bad idea, the more likely people are to believe it. Let's call this phenomena Clare's law of recurrence. The number of people who believe an idea is directly proportional to the number of times it has been repeated during the last year, even if the idea is false. Each time you attack a bad idea, you are feeding the very monster you are trying to destroy. As one Twitter employee wrote, every time you retweet or quote tweet someone you are angry with, it helps them, it disseminates their beliefs. Hell for the idea you deplore is silence. Have the discipline to give it to them. Your time is better spent championing good ideas than tearing down bad ideas. Don't waste time explaining why bad ideas are bad. You're simply fanning the flame of ignorance and stupidity. The best thing that can happen to a bad idea is that it is forgotten. The best thing that can happen to a good idea is that it is shared. It makes me think of a Taylor Cowen's quote: spend a little time as possible talking about how other people are wrong, feed the good ideas, and let bad ideas die of starvation.